Excellent. Okay, so and now for something completely different. Okay, Otailo, our logo is Return It Forward, and I'm giving a little bit of an homage to you, Matt, because forward, and inside the forward comes a whole bunch of things, because what we're doing is we're creating a return system which is not just about sustainability and about retail and revenue being really in the center point, but it's also about doing something that has social impact and sustainability, and about paying it forward in the retail industry. We shouldn't have a right of existence, because retail and let's say sustainability doesn't really go hand in hand. But what has happened over the past few years with the huge proliferation of e-commerce is the flip side, which is the returns. Okay, we've all been there. We've all been purchasing, and then we've been returning when the item doesn't suit us. We have regret, it doesn't fit, or because it's Tuesday, it's broken. It doesn't matter. We're not judgmental. When you reach a model where instead of trying and buying, you're buying and trying, inevitably, you're going to want to return. Now, here's the thing. 30% of everything that we purchase online is returned. Okay, in the States alone, this is a $761 billion problem. Okay, and apart from that, $30 billion is associated with returns related fraud. People using the items, people returning fake or counterfeit goods, people returning items that are not the original purchase, etc., etc. So the other side of this, the sustainability side, and this is a very hard slide to watch, is that 50% of all the items that we return are actually liquidated, dumped, burned, buried, or trashed out in the open in some deserts. Some of them are liquidated in third-party countries. It's a very unsustainable and terrible situation with very little regulation. Certainly nothing coming out of COP27. We are talking about indirect emissions and very little accountability. And what we're talking about is a place where the solution that we provide is providing really circular returns. It's a paradigm that we are coining, we are creating, we're doing thought leadership in order to that in 5 years' time, we're going to become the de facto standard for circular returns. What does this mean? Very schematically, when we buy something, it's almost like, elves or fairies come and bring this item to our homes overnight. Not true, of course. The item is taken off shelf, it's delivered, it's, of course, it's packaged first and it gets to us. The reverse logistics, which is this middle row that you can see here, is similar to the forward logistics. However, it is much longer, much less sustainable. There are multiple points. And on average, every item that we decide to return is touched about 20 times by different people before, and this is the clincher, it reaches the returns warehouse, where finally its destination is decided, and 50% of the time it'll land up in landfills and secondary markets. This means that millions and millions of items are circulating the planet at any given moment in time, and at least half of these are going to land up trashed. Whether they're in the nylons, whether they're new, whether they've been used or not, they're simply going to be thrown away. Untenable, and it makes my blood boil. So we see returns as unique. We treat every
1 minute warning.
Thank you. And we see it as an opportunity to reduce costs, carbon emissions, and packaging. We do this by calculating unique routes for every return, exclusive inspection to ensure that these items are valid and authentic, and then we enable authorized partners to resell and to do something great for our next life. It's a very simple scenario in which the customer has a personalized returns journey, and we do calculations on this return to find the optimized outcome. And we are to date processing 2 million orders. We have raised incredible metrics for our customers in which we've reduced their returns. We have reduced their paper and packaging. We have conformed or transformed their refunds into exchanges. This is completely unique in the returns atmosphere, and we are doing something that is ultimately returning the item forward, which is better for offline retailers, online
Your
retailers.
time is up. I'm sorry, Roni.
This was the last slide.
Very good. How much are you guys raising? What are you looking for?
We are raising $5 million. We've raised $1 million to date. We already have $1.5 million committed. We are live, commercialized, revenue-based. We are moving. We've been in Europe for 2 years, a little under 2 years, and now we've been asked to move to the States to take responsibility of certain customers and do all of their returns. It's a very, very exciting time, and I'm actually sitting here in the States. It's very exciting.
So are you saying 15% of all online e-commerce gets trashed, and then 30% of items get...
I am saying that, yes. I'm saying that the statistics around manufacturing are way worse than you can imagine. And we have an opportunity here to find a next life, where the next life isn't necessarily salvage, and it's not necessarily re-commerce. It's primary market. It's enabling retail brands to capture or untrap their returns, to know where they are, to reroute them to authorized resellers wherever they may be in the world. So if you are in Switzerland and I am in Seattle and Mascha and Sara are in Germany, then we can all route our items to authorized resellers to resell them, or if necessary to recycle, to refurbish, etc. So we're avoiding cross-border reverse logistics at every cost.
Very cool. Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How are you different than Cycleon, Rebound, all of those?
Such a great question. Cycleon and Rebound and some of the others that you haven't mentioned, but I feel very comfortable to say what I'm saying. They are basically printing shipping labels for the return items. These items will be sent to the same place where they will be processed and where they will be part and parcel of this exact scenario that I've painted. What they're doing, what these competitors are doing, is basically giving an easy experience for return, but they're not looking at the item. They're not looking at you and me. They're not looking at the cost efficiency. So that, for example, if an item that you and I have purchased is more expensive than the reverse logistics itself, they don't have any capacity to understand that and to realize it and to do something alternative with the item. It's a printing label return system, routing everything to the same place, a global policy. We see returns as unique as fingerprints, and we also look at you. What's your return history? What have you returned in the past? What are you likely to return in the future? Where do you live? How many of the items that you've returned are actually faulty? We're reducing returns related, fraud related issues. We're also using the user as a basis for the data collection. So you and I might sit in the same city, but we might have an alternative route for our item based on where the nearest store is, the inventory levels of the store, your history and my history. It's all data that is aggregated and calculated in real time, and really looks at every return as unique.
But how do you do this beforehand? I mean, yes, you can obviously say well, usually what I return is good quality, so I wrote it back to the store. But usually you need to have some kind of inspection so that you can kind of pre-sort in what goes back into resale. Maybe the small stitches goes back into the website. How do you do that?
People are going to think I paid you, Sara, because the truth is that we have a unique inspection module. And this is not something that our competitors have. It's differentiated technology, which is actually patent pending. And this inspection module is what actually leads this item, this unique return, to be validated, authenticated, that you made the purchase from this place at this time. We also validate the condition of the item so that we know what condition it's in. So at any given moment in time, anyone, anywhere can use this inspection module. It can be used by you and me. It can be used inside the stores. It can be used inside the warehouses. Today, it's in the hands of millions of shoppers for our customers, and they are using it in very specific scenarios. It's already live today. It's working. As I said, we're fully commercialized. And the inspection itself is reducing returns because the retailers upfront can decide whether they approve or reject an item returning to the warehouse. So it's very, very cool. And it's a super easy, customizable module, which is different if you're returning a pair of shoes, or if you're returning a bookshelf, or if you're returning a photo frame. This is our very unique advantage, is not just the unique routing, but it's this unique inspection that enables this item to be validated, inspected, and resold.
Does it mean, so I, on my phone, I take a picture of it and this is your module, and then it says return to the store, or like put it into the box, and it, so what usually Advanced Supply Chain or something is doing in their warehouses, you would be doing through a photo model.
So the inspection does involve taking a couple of snaps. And what happens is that the engine, when it looks at the return item, if you use the inspection, we're basically crunching at any moment of time all of the data of where you are, how much the item weighs, what's the transportation, et cetera, including the inspection-related details if they're included at that point. They may not necessarily be involved at that point. And then we basically intercept and we route this item to wherever the next best shelf is based on the data.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
How many successful returns have you processed? And what's your rate of kind of success?
Our rate of success is 100%. We handle all the returns for our customers that are commercialized to date. We have processed over 2 million customer orders. We have processed over, I would say, 500,000 returns of these orders. We also have transformed at least 10% into exchanges, which is something that most returns company that value themselves will do as well. Exchange is a very important part of the sustainability process. We also do something that's very unique, that we calculate the carbon that we are reducing, the carbon emissions that we are reducing. And we also reduce the customer calls revolved around returns by 25%. So this is a very, very huge. We go in and our objective is to just do the returns. We are a returns management solution. We're not a logistics solution. Some of the competitors were listed here. Really, it's about logistics. It's about how to get the items back to the returns warehouse as quickly as possible. We're not about that. We're about making the smart, sustainable, and circular.
What would you say is the main driver for customers to use you? Like, is it cost saving, sustainability concerns, or is it like the regulatory side that's driving things?
You know, I wish that regulation was a factor, because then we would be the de facto solution. There is no regulation around e-commerce returns. The main driving factor is the reduction of costs. It's the reduction of carbon emissions and paper. And it's also for retail brands who are, we're enterprise SaaS, B2B SaaS. It's for retail brands to take control of their returns, to know where they are, to know what the optimal do to do with them, to route them to profit optimal locations. It's about, it's not, when you go with one of the competitors mentioned, you have no control over what happens to that item, where it's sent, and theoretically you just haven't a clue of what's going on. Here you have not only the ability to track and understand and know who's returning what, where in the world, why, to see pictures, to approve, reject, etc., but you can also plan your returns management ecosystem. You can integrate it with your backend, with your SAP, your Salesforce Commerce Cloud, your Magentos. You can. We fundamentally integrate with inventory systems to ensure that items where offline stores are, the inventory is low, then we can route to these stores in order to buff up the inventory. So it's a very, very smart post-purchase solution.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of cost, what is your cost saving potential then?
In the first 5 months of going live, we have saved our customer over £500,000 £500,000. Okay, this is a very, very high ROI. Frankly, it was about 200% more than our asking price, which, by the way, we're a software subscription based, tier-based software subscription. So the ROI for them was absolutely terrific. With over a year has passed, we've saved probably closer to the $2 million at this point, $2 million. The savings are very, very clear. Our customers have renewed their contracts. As I said, they're also, one of our customers is bringing us to the States to take over their entire returns operation for US and Canada. The concept has proven itself. We are raising money to really burst open the sales funnel. We have about $600 million in potential, high up on the funnel, not low down, just by the pyramid. So the purpose of our funding is both to really target new markets and new verticals in terms of our sales and our sales closure processes, and also to continue to advance on our technology, because especially in the inspection space, when you provide customization of inspection for a leaf blower or for a PlayStation or for a pair of shoes, you actually need to do a little bit of market research and work with some of the experts inside that vertical to ensure that your inspection is really covering all your bases. The potential in the retail world is truly incredible. We have very, very modestly said that our market share is 4.2 billion. I think if you look at the way we do go to market, which is a mixture of reselling and channels, and for example, Salesforce Commerce Cloud is also our reseller. As an example, we really are targeting the global enterprise B2B brands who are not just interested in bottom line, but they're also interested in the sustainability savings and the carbon reductions, and who understand that their science-based goals can actually be reached in creative and interesting ways. And also, before the regulator comes, they are going to be in place with a solution that is circular and that is a very, very big savings on cost efficiency and carbon reduction.
It sounds too good to be true. What's the problem?
I tell you something. I always say that this is a win-win-win solution, win-win for the retail, for the consumers, and for the planet. The huge challenge here is that we are being audacious. Okay, we are saying that the reverse logistics process that you saw in the slide, which has been around for thousands of years, we're saying it's not good enough. Okay, and that's a huge challenge. Okay, when you come with functional innovation, which we do, people start to listen. But when you come with technical innovation, which we have, people start to listen. But when you say, listen, reverse logistics, we need to use circular economy to make it more efficient and more sustainable, then it's a difficult conversation that you have to have with multiple players in the system. So when we are talking to global retail brands with $10 million of revenue a month, and thousands and thousands and thousands of returns, our discussion is not just with e-commerce. It is with the guys in the warehouse. It is with the CFO. It is with the innovation and sustainability leads. We are truly creating very audaciously a new paradigm for how reverse logistics handles e-commerce returns. And we all know that e-commerce returns has just exploded. So at the moment, especially with Corona and COVID, retail is still playing catch up. They're still in this recovery phase where they're trying to figure out, what do we do? In the period of the very, very heightened pandemic, what they did with e-commerce returns is they said, keep it for 100 days, keep it for 300 days, keep your item, don't send it back to us. This is unsustainable, and it doesn't make fiscal or economical sense. So our sales cycle is too long. Okay, this is our challenge, and this is also the question that you have asked several times, why will it fail? It's because we need to bring on board people who can fundamentally understand that disruption is needed.